Are you ready to dive into the future of content management and discover how technology is shaping the next generation of customer experiences? Well, in today's episode of Tech Talks Daily, we're going to explore the intersection of technology, real-world solutions, content management systems, and so much more. Because today I'm going to be joined by a visionary in the tech world. He's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Hygraph. And his name's Michael, and he's been at the forefront of the technological innovation since he began coding websites at the tender age of 11. And with a career deeply rooted in technology, Michael brings a wealth of knowledge and insights into the evolution of content management systems, from those early days of web CMS to the cutting-edge federated content platforms. We're going to embark on a journey through the advancements that are defining how businesses connect with their audiences in this digital age. Now, before I get today's guest on, a quick shout out to the sponsors of Tech Talks Daily, because in today's remote-first world, I think settling for outdated managed file transfer solutions means ultimately you're risking your sensitive data. But if you upgrade to Kiteworks, the gold standard in secure MFT, boasting FedRAMP moderate authorization, Kiteworks isn't just secure, it's a complete transformation of how your business handles file transfers and communications. And with this state-of-the-art file sharing, email security, and a platform that's as robust as it is user-friendly, Kiteworks is empowering you to manage and protect your data like never before. So say goodbye to compromise and hello to unmatched security and efficiency. And you can do that by making the switch to kiteworks.com. Visit kiteworks.com to begin. That's kiteworks.com to secure your data and empower your business. But now, let's get today's guest on. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Germany, where Michael is waiting to share his story. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Neil, for having me. I'm Michael. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hygraph. We're providing a next-generation content management platform that is very developer-centric, and I'm happy to have the call with you today.
Great to have you join me. And one of the things I love to do is find out more about my guest's origin story, the backstory, and what put them on the path that they're doing and what they're doing now. So what's your origin story? There's always a story, right?
Absolutely. So I've been in tech for pretty much all my life. I started coding at the age of 11. Of course, that time it was not serious coding. It was like putting animated GIFs on a website, but I really loved what I was doing. So over time, I became the guy building websites and web apps for friends and family, later on for the businesses of friends and family. And then I decided to study computer science, which I did mostly in Germany. After my master's degree in computer science, I started at only one company to work as an employee, as a software developer. I started a company called Canto. They're in the digital asset management space. So they're doing you can imagine like a Dropbox or Google Drive for the enterprise with a marketeer focus, so file asset management. And in particular, I was in the professional services of that company, so I would build integrations for really cool customers they had, but I wouldn't build core product. And I've always wanted to build core product and always take care of the distribution of the product as well. So long story short, at this company, I met Daniel, who's my good friend, co-founder and CTO. We thought we're able to build fantastic products. So we left Canto. Actually, we would start out building also a digital asset management system because we had the vertical know-how and we had a lot of ideas how to improve what the product was doing we were working at. But really randomly, it was early 2016, there was a blog post that popped up in my Twitter feed. It's Friday evening, shortly before bed, and the blog post was called, "What is a Headless Content Management System?" And early 2016, I didn't know what a Headless CMS was, and frankly, no one really knew what a Headless CMS was at that time. But I was reading the article, and I was pretty amazed by what I was reading. I really loved the concept of the Headless CMS, mostly for being a very sustainable and durable product model. So the Headless CMS helps you basically distributing content on any platform, not just websites. It can help you distributing content to mobile apps, smart TVs, etc. Even the new Apple goggles that were just released last week, I believe, you're already set to distribute your content to this platform as well. So that's what I really loved. And at the same time, GraphQL was just released. That time I was reading the blog post, and Daniel and me were huge fanboys, basically, of GraphQL. We adopted the technology already in our other product prototype that we would build, and we really liked it. And what we then later did with Hygraph, by the way, formerly the company was called Graph CMS. We rebranded around 1.5 years ago. What we did is we combined the concept of GraphQL. So what we loved about GraphQL, so it's a new API technology that increases your developer experience, or newer, by now it's not so new anymore, and the Headless CMS, and we built the first GraphQL native Headless CMS in the market, which would mean you could use GraphQL to distribute your content onto any platform, be it web, mobile, even now the new Apple Vision Pro.
You've mentioned the Apple Vision Pro a few times. Are you tempted? It's a big entry point price-wise, isn't it?
I am tempted, to be honest. So last week, actually, coincidentally, I've been in San Francisco when the goggles, the Vision Pro, were released, and we made a trip to the Apple mothership because there's a visitor center with an Apple store next to it. And of course, you would see also a couple of Cybertrucks parking in front of it. It was also the first time I saw some Cybertruck. But no chance. There was a gigantic line for testing the Vision Pro. I'm tempted. I would love to try them out.
Yeah, 100%. You've shared your origin story there. I'd love to find out more about the backstory of content management systems too, because they've evolved tremendously over the last 2 decades, particularly in relation to the shift from traditional CMS to headless CMS and now to federated content platforms. For anyone listening outside of this space, could you just give a bit of an overview on that journey that content management systems have been on?
Happy to. So content management systems have been around for quite some time. They starting to appear in the 90s, and we see them as there's been 3 major generations of content management platforms or systems. The first one being the web content management systems. Those were really the easy days of the internet, let's say, or content management, because you only needed to get your content onto a website. And the web CMS, so basically the traditional content management system, would help you. It would give you both. It would give you the interface where you could manage your content in the back office, but it would also help you building the website that is later on presented to your audience. So there was a tight coupling between the back office and the content creation, as well as the presentation of the content. So we say that that was the time where there was a one-to-one relationship between the content generation process, the back office, and the presentation layer. Now then, as soon we had the conversation about new devices already. As soon as smartphones and other new smart devices would enter the market 10, 15 years ago, really gaining rapid popularity, the web CMS wouldn't cut it anymore, because for a lot of platforms, let's say a native iPhone app or a native Android app, or maybe a native smart TV app for any of the smart TV operating systems, they wouldn't render websites. You would build custom applications for these platforms, and you wouldn't render your content coming from a website. You needed to get to the pure data of your content, and so the web CMS wouldn't cut it anymore. That was really the era of the headless CMS. This is where we also got started back then as Graph CMS. Now the headless CMS would turn the content management system front-end agnostic. It would mean that now you could distribute your content onto any of the platforms out there using an API and not the visual website as an interface to the content. And so that would abstract things nicely away. So we went from a one-to-one relationship to one-to-many relationship, and the web CMS became front-end agnostic. Now, with what we are developing for quite some time now, and we've entered the market and educating the market and position ourselves around that topic, around the capability a lot, is that we're building the next generation of content management platform that we call the federated content platform, federated content management platform, if you will. And what we're doing with this is we're turning the promise of the headless CMS around by not just being front-end agnostic, but also being back-end agnostic. That means that you cannot just distribute your content to any platform. No, you can source your content and data from any other back-end tool that lives within your stack. Very often in large organizations, you have multiple CMSs, you have product information management systems, you have digital asset management systems, you have custom databases, legacy systems. There's a lot of APIs and data sources, so-called, we call them data silos, that is really where you would really want to expose this data and use this data in the applications that you're building. And with content federation, so one of the differentiated Hygraph key capabilities, you can easily integrate third-party APIs, so any REST or GraphQL API into one universal content graph. And that allows your developers to build those websites, those mobile apps, those Apple Vision apps, very easy if you have the requirement of pulling data from multiple data sources, which is sort of the new normal of the composable era, if you will.
Incredibly exciting times, and there's of course some huge figures attached to this industry as well. In fact, I recently read that the digital content creation market is projected to reach $24 billion by 2027, so just a few years away. So how do you see content driving the next generation of customer experiences, especially in the context of personalization and speed, because it's racing ahead, isn't it?
It is an enormous market. It is gigantic, and one key trend that we are observing throughout the last couple of years, it's going on for a while now, is that content is not just the marketing asset anymore. Very often content is being the asset that is sold by a company already. So content is becoming a business model, and it's not just a supportive function of marketing to sell any, let's say, physical product like the iPad or so. Think of applications as Netflix, where you pay subscription for the content that is being maintained and generated. Or think of Peloton, the workout application that you can watch and use on your bike. Now, this is also content, and this content needs to be managed by content management systems such as Hygraph, like ours. And we see more and more throughout the years that the ownership of content creation is not anymore necessarily by the marketeers. Of course, that is still true for the marketing content, but there's more and more content that is domain specific, and that is really driving this market and pushing this market to become bigger, because the primary product of companies is becoming content, such as Netflix, Peloton, many others out there. So this market will just grow bigger. And you mentioned personalization. I think it's necessary nowadays. I think personalization you can integrate very well with content management systems, so that your users become the content, be it the Netflix movies, be it the products, be it the workouts that you want to do exactly for your requirements. And I think even with AI, we will see even stronger personalization, because AI models will be able to learn and identify yourself much better, and probably better even understand you better than you do yourself, what you want and what you want to consume next. So exciting times ahead, I would say.
And for any business leaders listening, and from the conversations you're having with your customers, what would you say are the main challenges that businesses are facing right now with traditional CMS and headless CMS models? And how are you addressing these issues with this latest approach?
Absolutely. So what we see over and over again in the stacks of our customers is that there's a lot of lock-in going on. I mentioned that there's a lot of hidden data and content silos in the backends of the customer stacks and in the architectures, and getting this data and information out to where you need it when you build applications is really hard and cumbersome. So there's a lot of data silos going on, and how companies that have a lot of silos going on and a lot of data sources used to solve this before Hygraph, before content federation, is basically they would build their own middleware layer. So it's a custom software development. You build a new API layer that sort of understands what is happening under the hood in your enterprise stack, pulls the data from your different CMSs, from your PIMs, from your DAMs, from legacy systems, from other third-party systems such as search, personalization, maybe even, and exposes new APIs for the developers so they can build applications leveraging the data out of those sources. Now, this sounds all right. This sounds like a solution to the problem. But the problem with this is that it's very expensive to build this middleware layer. So you have to design it, you have to develop it, you have to maintain it, you have to secure it, you have to wire it with global CDNs to make sure that your APIs and your end customer experiences are being served with below 100 milliseconds, because that's the expectations. And all this is very challenging, and you need to have a lot of know-how in-house to make that happen. And a lot of companies simply don't have it, or overspend millions throughout the years building this middleware layer. This is what we want to get rid of in the stack of the customer. So with Hygraph and Content Federation, we want to get rid of the man in the middle. We want to replace the middleware layer. So many companies build custom to wire up those data silos by simply giving you the opportunity to configure your data sources. We do a little bit of magic on top. We make sure that everything is performant and fast as well on the API, and that you can go within minutes or a couple of hours instead of weeks, months, or years.
And just to dig a little bit deeper on that, can you elaborate on the concept of federated content platforms and how they can combine composability with a federated content approach to future-proof CMS investments? Again, so much value in that, isn't there?
Absolutely. So, So let's maybe start with the term composability. You just use this. It's quite the trend in the enterprise software development market. Now, what composability means is composability tries to get rid of this of the old monoliths, of the old monolithic software stacks where you have one or two vendors, such as in Adobe or others of the big software suites that give you all the functionality that you need throughout the life cycle of the product that you're building. They give you a CMS, they give you search, they give you personalization, they give you everything what you need, but nothing really specialized. And my dad used to say, a glue that glues everything is not a good glue. So in the terms of, there's now in the recent years a new trend in the market, the so-called best of breed software development, where companies choose the right tools for the problems that they're trying to solve, and they choose the best tools. They choose the best CMS that helps them, that is best suitable for the case they have, the best search engine, the best personalization, and that's called a best of breed stack because you choose the best tools for your needs. And this would also be a composable stack because you compose the functionality. Now, why this sounds really, really great, it comes with a big disadvantage that monolithic architecture doesn't have. And this is that all of this stuff needs to be integrated together to play well. And this is, again, the effort of the middleware that we were that I was referring to before. Now, with Content Federation is our opinionated technological answer to the problems of composability. Content Federation allows you really to take the APIs of the systems that you purchased or built together, you plug them into one universal content graph, and you have a new API, so-called super graph. Even some vendors would refer to it like that you can use within your applications to easy integrate. It's like a plug-and-play integration of this composable stack so that you can go faster. You don't have any innovation bottlenecks because the middleware is basically an innovation bottleneck in a lot of cases. And this is what you want to have. You want to have the best systems, and those should be integrated nicely, seamlessly, without any additional work, so that you can get most out of those systems that you purchased. Because otherwise, it's also not a great situation if you have the best of breed stack, but you cannot integrate it well, and you cannot harvest those effects.
And you mentioned a moment ago about moving away from those big monoliths, and a lot of those monoliths are very expensive for organizations, especially large enterprises. So how do you at Hygraph enable organizations to reduce those integration costs and better streamline content management across various platforms and systems, because I would imagine you'd get to save a lot of money with this, right?
Absolutely. As mentioned, like integrating very large architectures can cost you easily in the millions over time. So there's a lot of efficiency potential there. So what we see often is if a company does the digital transformation to a modern stack, we would usually recommend not to do a one-off migration, because as a lot of software initiatives, it's risky. You don't know what you get in the end until you're there. Of course, you can de-risk, but it's a long process. What is easier is just taking functionality step by step, migrating it over to new components, and try to integrate the old world with the new world, which you can do with content federation, and seamlessly do a step-by-step migration over time. So you can take yourself time, you can test in between, you can reevaluate, and it's really de-risk. So we wouldn't recommend the one-off migration, because there's eventually so many moving parts. Rip one piece out, move it to the new stack, and test and optimize, and then you go to the next piece you want to rip out, basically.
And with the introduction of top-level remote fields in Hygraph as well, what other capabilities does that bring to enterprises, and how did it maybe change the way that they could manage and unify content? Again, feels like a big change there.
Absolutely. So the top-level remote fields is actually the main functionality now of the federation capability. We introduced content federation a while ago in a way that you could stitch data from the CMS to a data point in a third-party system. So let's say you have a product entry. You have a product entry within the CMS. You use the CMS as a product catalog, and you have some external assets in a digital asset management system. So content federation would help you stitch and join these data points together from CMS and external DAM. So within one single API call, you could fetch all this information together. So there was always this tight coupling between there had to be content already in the CMS that would be joined with a counterpart on the other side. But the top-level remote fields really allow you horizontal clustering of APIs and third-party services on your API, which means that there does not need to be a content entry within Hygraph that you join together. No, you can pull all the data from third-party systems and then soon even do a reverse join. So you start you start on the third-party source and then join it together and enrich this content with content that you have created and managed within Hygraph, because there is very strong content management capabilities in Hygraph, of course, as well, based on our Headless CMS heritage, let's say.
Incredibly cool. And if you look into the future, how do you envision the future of content management and the creation of digital experiences, especially considering the rapid advancements in technology and changing consumer expectations? We've already mentioned the Apple Vision Pro. Yes, it's expensive at the moment, but if you look 3-4 years down the line, the content creation is going to go through the roof in so many different areas, isn't it?
It's going through the roof. The number of channels is just exploding now, the Apple Vision. But there's also other channels where content management wasn't seen before and has now a big footprint, like in gaming. So in-game assets. If you play a game like Fortnite and you want to purchase a new skin for your player, like from the store, this is also content that needs to be maintained in the content management system. So there's more and more channels. There's high expectations, high quality expectations. We had the topic on personalization. Everyone expects nowadays to get a very strongly personalized experience. You can also sort of configure it by user-generated content, so your behavior should change the content that you will receive. And I think one of the big shifts that we're already seeing and we'll see in the next couple of years is, of course, AI in content management. There's so many opportunities for AI in content management. There's the opportunity for generating content using AI, digital assets, the opportunity to help you going with your project. So setting up the schema, so the content modeling definitions that you need to get you going faster. AI can help you with that. And one of the biggest bottlenecks in successful digital projects is that AI can help you building your whole application. So not just the content, but also the front end that is being consumed either via the browser or in your Apple Vision. AI can help you with that. So a lot of developers nowadays are afraid that they will be out of job in a couple of years. I think it will take a bit longer, but it's a future that can happen. So we will see more and more machine-generated content therefore as well.
And for any business leader listening today, we've set off those light bulb moments, and maybe they're looking at how they can better adapt to the latest in content management technologies. Any advice that you'd give them to maybe just ensure that they are making the most of these tools and ultimately staying ahead in this digital landscape? Any tips or advice you'd leave them with listening?
I would say be friendly to your developers and engineers. There's this schisma going on in the world of content management, I would say, where projects are either led by the CMO or projects either led by the CTO or CPO, like the technical folks that build content products instead of just marketing websites. And very often there's frictions on marketeer-led projects that they don't want to collaborate as much or have too much dependencies to the engineers because they have their campaigns, they have their targets they need to hit, they want to move as quickly as possible. But the reality is, if you want to build truly engaging digital experiences, you need a lot of technical know-how and a strong technical team. So better be friendly to your developers.
Fantastic advice. And we started the podcast talking about your backstory, your origin story, and the career path that you've been on here. And if I ask you to look back now, I'm curious, what has been the funniest or most interesting story?
Yeah.
I suspect you picked a few of them up over the years too, right? Any you're able to share?
There's plenty, but one in particular I like a lot. If anyone from Hygraph is listening in right now, they probably heard the story hundreds of times already, because I tell it onboardings, I tell it company events, dinners, etc. But I really love the story how we met our first employee. Back then, it was Graph CMS, now Hygraph. We were in beta for a couple of months. We had a public beta going on, and we would invite every beta sign-up user to our public Slack community that would grow quickly to a couple of thousand folks to just gather feedback, learn how people are using the platform. And one day there was a guy texting me. He had a feature request for our platform. He needed support for GraphQL union types. It's like a GraphQL functionality we didn't have at that time. And we got into conversation in our Slack about the feature. He had all the requirements. That was very good. And at some point he would ask me, where are you guys based? Are you coming from San Francisco, London, Berlin? Where are you? I said, so we're from Gießen. That's close to Frankfurt. Probably you will know Frankfurt. And he said, are you kidding me? I'm from Dutenhofen. That's near Gießen. So he was 20 minutes away. The next day we would meet. He was still at university doing his master's. And we would hire him then a couple of weeks later as our first employee. He would start as a working student, later on being full-time developer, and then he would build the feature that he requested himself in the end. And he's still with us and going strong with us. So thank you, Jonas, for joining us on all that journey.
Wow, what a phenomenal story. Absolutely love that. A big hello to him, big shout out to him there as well.
Hey,
but anyone listening wanting to find out a little bit more information about Hygraph, the work that you're doing, some of the topics we explored today, where would you like to point everyone listening?
I think our website would be the best starting point. That would be hygraph.com. Or our YouTube channel. We have a lot of fantastic content, video content from our DevRel team. So check it out, hygraph.com.
Well, I'll add a link to your website, and I'll also include a video in the blog post that I will use to promote this episode as well, so people will be able to find that nice and easily. But we covered so much there, from content, how it's driving the next generation of customer experiences, organizations feeling the pressure to deliver those integrated headless CMS, and also how a federated content platform is the next generation of content management. We could talk about this stuff for hours, but just a big thank you for sharing your story today. Thanks for joining.
Happy to be here, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Having listened to Michael there, I think it's clear that the landscape of content management is undergoing a profound transformation. And today, in a 30-minute conversation, we traverse from the foundational web CMS to the dynamic realm of headless CMS, and now the pioneering federated content platforms that are promising a new horizon of integrated, personalised digital experiences. And Michael's insights into the significance of content in driving customer experience and that pivotal role of technology and what it's playing in enabling seamless, scalable content distribution. It's invaluable, isn't it? And if we look to the future of CMS with AI and machine learning at the helm, and hints at a world where content creation and personalisation are not just intuitive, but almost anticipatory, crafting experience that resonate deeply with users. Food for thought. And on that, I invite you to ponder how your business is adapting to these technological evolutions. Is your business ready to embrace the federated content platforms and harness the power of AI for a more connected, personalised customer experience? And if not, have you considered what could happen if the standard expectation of your customers are being met by your competitors and they'll move away from you when you can't offer a similar service? Well, let's continue the conversation. Share your thoughts with me. Join the dialogue on how technology is not just solving real-world problems, but transforming the very fabric of every single digital interaction. So email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just at Neil C. Hughes. I'd love to hear from any of you and any of your thoughts or takeaways that you got from today's conversation. But we've reached the end of this episode, so keep innovating, keep inspiring, keep pushing those boundaries of what's possible. And I'll join you again bright and early tomorrow. So thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.